Well, I mean, do you feel his residency in Moscow is a permanent one? What kind of life has Edward Snowden got there? I mean, I'm assuming it's a bit more of a freer life than Assange, for example.
Yeah, so there's two questions there. The first is, do I think that he'll be there forever? And the second is, what his life is like. So let me answer those in the opposite order. Um, he lives a free and open and active life. Having said that, he lives that life many thousands of miles away from his uh, family members, from 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 friends who are in the United States, and obviously he would much rather not be there. Now, again, having said that, this is somebody who had been in the U.S. intelligence community since about the age of 20. He was not someone who was embedded in social circles. He was someone who every couple of years was sent off to another country to do work that was top secret that he couldn't really talk about. And so, as he put it to me, this is not the most difficult posting that I've had. He, in many ways, is more socially connected using this kind of technology than he was when he worked in the intelligence community. And from our earliest conversations, he was very focused on how we could use technology to defeat his exile. He now does public speaking around the world, usually at least once a week. Last year, he did 50 public speaking appearances around the world using video technology like this. So he's certainly not isolated in that way. He has friends and visitors who come to Moscow to see him. His longtime girlfriend of a decade is living with him in Moscow. So while this is not where we want him to have to live out his life, he's certainly not asking for sympathy, nor does he really need it. Now, how long do I think that he'll be there? I don't know. Um, I point to the history of Daniel Ellsberg, the famous Pentagon Papers whistleblower in the United States. And in the early 1970s, when that information was first being published, Ellsberg was accused by critics of being a Russian spy, of having dropped off a copy of the Pentagon Papers at the Soviet embassy, of being a traitor, a fake, much worse language even than we've heard about Snowden. And now, 4 decades later, he's almost universally revered as a hero, even by people who were his critics 40 years ago. I think history is going to be very kind to Edward Snowden. I think history is generally unkind to the claims of national security that are used to keep the public in the dark. I hope it doesn't take us 40 years to bring Snowden home, with gratitude rather than punishment. And if there are interim solutions that allow him to live in another country, if a country in Europe, for example, wanted to grant him residency or citizenship or asylum, he would certainly be open to those things. But again, in the meantime, he is not asking for anybody's sympathy. He's trying to live as productive and meaningful a life as he can.
You talk about Glenn Greenwald and Intercept, journalists across the globe are